Here's the truth no one tells you. Letting go doesn't break you. Clinging to a past that no longer exists does. Letting go is one of the hardest things a human can do. Not because the past is stronger than us, but because we are afraid of who we might become without it. This is the story of Ethan, a man who held so tightly to his past that it slowly crushed the life in front of him. Every night, Ethan stared at the same photograph, a reminder of what he lost, a reminder of who he used to be, a reminder of a life that no longer existed. He wasn't living, he was remembering. He told himself he was healing, but the truth was harder. He wasn't healing, he was holding on, and holding on was slowly destroying him. One evening, as Ethan wandered aimlessly, he noticed an older woman sitting alone on a bench. There was something peaceful about her, as if life had shaped her without breaking her. She looked up at Ethan and smiled softly. "You look heavy," she said gently. Ethan forced a small laugh. "Is it that obvious?" The woman nodded. "You're carrying something you should have put down long ago." Her words pierced him. She continued, "Letting go is not losing. Holding on is." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" She replied, "You think holding on protects you, but in reality, it traps you in a moment that no longer exists." He had never heard it put that way, but it felt true. His past wasn't protecting him. It was imprisoning him. And if you've been holding on to something that no longer belongs in your life, tap the like button, not for the channel, but for yourself. A small sign that you're ready to loosen your grip. The woman stood up gently, as if every movement carried wisdom. She said softly, "Do you know why people hold on to things that hurt them?" Ethan shook his head. She continued, "Because they are terrified of the empty space that appears when they let go." Ethan imagined an empty room, quiet, open, unfamiliar. It scared him. She nodded, as if reading his thoughts. Pain is still something. Memories are still something. Loneliness is still something. But emptiness? Emptiness feels unbearable. They walked together through the soft glow of the lamps. The woman said, "The past feels safer, not because it was good, but because you survived it. That's why you return to memories, even when they hurt you. Your mind confuses survival with safety." Ethan felt a cold shiver run through him, because he realized he wasn't returning to the past because it was beautiful. He was returning because it was familiar. He whispered, "So I'm not holding on because I love it. I'm holding on because I know it." The woman nodded. "That is the trap." She looked directly at him. People think letting go means erasing the past, but that's not true. Letting go means the past stops controlling your present. Ethan felt tears forming. For years, he thought letting go meant betraying what he lost, but maybe letting go simply meant choosing himself again. He looked at the photograph in his hand. For the first time, it didn't feel like a treasure. It felt like a chain. They sat down again. "The weight you feel," she said, "is not the past itself. It's the meaning you attached to it. You carry guilt. You carry regret. You carry unfinished stories. And that weight is not meant for a single human heart." Ethan wiped his eyes. And if you've ever held on to something long after it stopped loving you, or helping you, or choosing you, tap the like button. Not for me, but to whisper to yourself, "I'm ready to loosen my grip." They reached a quiet riverside where the water reflected the golden streetlights, like tiny pieces of memory drifting away. The woman turned to Ethan and said, "You think you're afraid of losing, But that's not true. You're afraid of what comes after losing. The silence, the emptiness, the rebuilding. Ethan felt a deep ache in his chest. Because she was right. He stared at his reflection in the water, distorted, trembling, unsure. That reflection was the version of himself he had been trying to protect for years. But instead of protecting him, it kept him small, kept him afraid, kept him repeating the same pain, because it was all he knew. The woman sat down and said softly, "The past feels heavy, only because you carry it alone. You never allowed yourself to put it down for a moment and rest. You've held it so tightly that you forgot what your hands could hold if they were empty." Ethan swallowed hard. His hands were shaking. He sank to his knees, not in weakness, but in exhaustion. For the first time, he allowed himself to admit, "I'm tired. I've been tired for years." The woman nodded. Tired doesn't mean broken. Tired means you've carried something longer than any human should. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Letting go," she said, "is not abandoning what mattered. It's honoring it. It's saying, I loved this. I lived this, but it no longer belongs in my hands." It is not rejection. It is respect. Ethan's eyes filled with tears, because for the first time, letting go didn't sound cruel. It sounded kind. Ethan opened his hand. The photograph trembled in the light breeze, as if asking one last time to be held. And with a shaking breath, Ethan let it go. It drifted from his fingers, light, weightless, free. And for a split second, so was he. And if you've ever held on to something long after it stopped choosing you, if you've ever feared the silence that follows letting go, tap the like button, not as an action, but as a quiet promise. I deserve to be free. Ethan stood in silence, watching the photograph drift away until it became nothing more than a ripple in the water. He expected to feel empty. He expected to feel lost. He expected to feel broken. But instead, he felt lighter. The woman said softly, "The weight leaves before the pain does. But the moment the weight is gone, healing finally begins." They began walking back toward the quiet path. "The past," she said, "is a place to visit, a place to learn from, but never a place to live." Ethan took a slow breath. For years he had lived in memories, as if they were home. But they were just a chapter, not the entire book. As they walked, Ethan noticed something strange. His steps felt different. His chest felt different. Even the night air felt different. Freedom didn't feel like joy. Not yet. It felt unfamiliar. And for the first time, unfamiliar didn't scare him. They stopped under a warm streetlight. The woman looked at him and said, "You're allowed to start again. You're allowed to rebuild. You're allowed to dream again. You're allowed to choose a life bigger than the one you lost." Ethan felt tears rise again, not from pain, but from relief. She added, "You did not fail. You did not lose. You simply outgrew what no longer had space for the person you are becoming." Ethan breathed deeply, and for the first time in years, he believed her. As Ethan walked away, the world didn't look different, but he did. He finally understood. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is allowing life to move again. The past will always whisper, but you don't have to answer. Sometimes, the greatest act of love is releasing what once mattered. so that you can finally matter to yourself. If this story touched you, hit like, follow for more, and tell me in the comments, I'm ready to let go, because letting go is how you finally make room for the life waiting to meet you.